Hi, I'm Ronan Murdock and this is Leaving Cert Business. So, welcome back to our second class on profitability. I just want to remind you guys, if you haven't seen the first one, make sure you go back in the first one, because the first one just goes over the essentials with it, okay? So what we're going to do now is going to work on a past question. So, again, for any of my 5th years, we're using the notes, we're on page 47, and any of my 6th years on the book, we're on page 247, okay? So, we'll get into it straight away. You guys have a look at it here. This is a question from 2006, right? And I kind of wanted to do this one because it's a good one, a bit of a trick question as well. So a lot of students will find this one quite difficult. So first thing I want to note there is 40 marks. Remember what we were doing in the earlier videos? We see a long question for 40 marks, divide by 2.5, that tells you about 16 minutes to do it, okay? So just make sure you write that in beside it, 40 marks, 16 minutes. So again, any of my 6th years, or 5th years, you know the page, 6th years, 247, 5th years, 47. If you don't have the notes, you can get the past question on your question in past papers from 2006. If you don't have the past papers handy, no problem. Just write the question out. Okay, so like pause the video and make sure you just fire the figures out there. Okay, so let's go through it. So again, this is the best way to do it. Okay, so the best way you have the notes is just literally have the question in front of you, blank A4 piece of paper, and work through final calculations. Exactly what you're going to have the leaving cert, just the question and a blank piece of paper. So we'll look through it, right? First part of the question, right? For 2004, 2005, calculate the gross profit margin, net profit margin, and return on investment, and then analyse these profitability trends and discuss how shareholders might use them in making decisions. Okay, so like they want you to go through the first part. That question is really broken into 2 parts. They want you to discuss the trends, are they getting better or worse? Another key thing I'd spell that question is shareholders. Okay, so like you own shares in the business. What would you be mainly concerned with? What would you be focusing on with that question? All right, so we'll go through it. And I like this question again. It's a really, really good question to ask, because this was going back to, like, do you remember I was saying to you guys, if you're in the leaving cert, like on the earlier class, the earlier question profitability, is that first thing that comes up. If you see any question on profitability, I'd always just fire it down like sales minus COGS gives you my gross profit minus expenses. That gives my net profit, okay? That can be very, very handy for you guys to know later on, right? And you'll see it, like once you know that'll help you a lot of these questions. Okay, so we'll look through it. And the first question they wanted me to calculate was, they want me to calculate the gross profit margin, then they want me to do the net profit margin, then they want me to do return on investment. All right, brilliant. Let's go and do the gross profit margin. Okay, so we know the formula for gross profit margin is gross profit multiplied by 100 divided by our sales. All right, let's get the gross profit. And now you see we're in trouble. Okay, anyone see the gross profit there? No, and that's what they did. Like literally in the leaving cert that year, plenty of students have been like, okay, I've learned off my formulas. And then they actually go into the question, like they were genuinely thinking, like a lot of them were thinking that there's something wrong with the question, the examiner's made a mistake or whatever, that they made a mistake setting paper. We've no gross profit. That's what I was saying earlier in the previous video. It's useless sitting down and learning off the formulas if these types of questions come up, because we don't know what the gross profit is. All right, but not to worry, because we go back on our rule, okay? And we've got this formula here to help us calculate. So what we'll do now is we'll work over on this side of the board, and we'll have a look at this. So this is kind of something I prepared earlier when we were looking at it. This is what we have, right? So remember I was saying, right? Sales minus our stock in the previous video, that gives your gross profit, minus your expenses gives your net profit. Now, let's key in the information that they did give us, right? They gave us, if you look at the question there, they gave us the net profit, which is 70,000, and they gave us the expenses. Now that's what we're going to use to calculate the gross profit, right? So if we're looking at the first one there, see the way it's sales minus COGS, gross profit, and then you can look at like gross profit minus expenses is the net profit, okay? So everyone in the second part there, right? That's the key part of this question, all right? Gross profit minus expenses gives you the net profit. Okay, let's look what we have, right? Our gross profit, being the profit we've made off the stock we've sold, minus our expenses, that gives us the net profit. Okay, let's look for 2005. And if you look at the question there, you can see the expenses was 50,000, so we'll slot that down there. The net profit was 70,000, okay, and then we don't know what the gross profit is. But of course then, if I take the minus 50,000 over to the other side, I've got gross profit equals 70,000. Take the minus 50,000 over to the other side, turns into positive, and then I've got my gross profit there is 120,000. 70,000 and 50,000 That leaves me with 120,000 euro. All right, and the way I double check that I know I'm 100% right in this is I'll just slot that in there. Does that make sense? Right, gross profit minus 120,000 minus 50,000 expenses, net profit 70,000. Brilliant, that's that one done. Okay, your job, we'll pause the video, your job, figure it out for 2004. Okay? That's sorry, never mind. I'll just you just keep going there. So we'll go for it there. Right, then the next one, right? So like you at home pause the video, yeah, you got it right. So when you pause it, I hope the answer you guys got was 100,000. So what do we do there? We've got gross profit for 2004, it was 40,000. The expenses was 40,000 and the net profit was 60,000. So again, we take that over to either side. So we've got gross profit equals 60,000. And remember guys, I've taken this over to the other side, it becomes positive, 40,000. And then my gross profit for that year was 100,000. Okay? And let's double check the way I know it's right. 100,000. 100,000 minus 40,000 gives you 6,000. Okay, and that might take a bit of time, but like I remember drilling this in, I've been going through it for years. They've done this a couple of times, like they've asked this, it was in 2015, they did the same thing then as well. If you guys check the papers then, you'll see the same trick being used. But that's the way you can do it. Now like, that might look like it takes a bit of time, not really. When you've practiced it enough, you can literally bomb through that question. So like, if you guys follow me back to over here, we'll have a quick look at it here. But imagine like if I was splitting this up like, I was like, right, 2005 here, 2004 here, okay? So like literally very quickly there, key in the information that I do have, net profit 70,000, and then 60,000, and 40, and then 50. But like you guys can get this done in no time. Like see the way there, you fire that down, put in the figures, and you know yourselves, you're like, right, I add these two up together, that'll give me my gross profit, 120,000, and I add these two up together, that'll give me my net profit, 100,000. And then always add it up in yourself, like 120 minus 50, 70, yeah, bring the habit. Now what we do, we know the gross profit for both years. So I'll slot that in here. I'll literally just write that in underneath the question. Gross profit, 120,000. And then the the gross profit in the following year is 100,000. Okay, excellent. Then, remember again guys, you're doing this, show your workings, make it clear to the examiner, put all this information in, just make sure you've got it broken down very well. Alright, now we can literally bomb through this question. That was like the curveball. But see the way there guys, it was the first question. And the way, if we like had the luxury of doing this over an hour and 15, like the way I kind of throw the question out and let you guys do it, and you'd find maybe 2/3 of the class won't be able to do it, and then you'd be struggling. And that's a great thing in a way, because you see then how important it is. So like that's what I'd be stressing at, like, like it's the first question, and then people have their heads wrecked and they can't do the second and third part. So just that's what I mean by this. We kind of spot the trick questions, practice them enough, thing will be fine. Okay, so we'll go through here. We'll just start going for the questions, right? So 2005, I'll just slot in the information. Gross profit, yeah. So the gross profit in 2005, I can see there was 120,000. Divided by sales, which is 500,000. Okay, that was 24%. Now remember again, guys, the way you do it. You get 120,000, multiplied by 100, press equals, divide that by 500,000. The answer that pops up in your calculator will be 24. That tells you there is 24%. Okay, let's do the gross profit margin in 2004. Okay, so we do it then, what was the gross profit in 2004? We know it was 100,000. And what was the sales in 2004? It was 400,000. So we have there then that it was 25%. Okay, so that's the next one. So we put in our figures there, you have it then. 25%. We go over then to do the net profit. Okay, so we'll look at the net profit then for 2005. Slot it in there, it was 70,000. And then multiply by 100, divided by 500,000. You have there being 14%. We look over there for net profit for 2004, it was 60,000. Multiply that then by 400,000, and that gives us 15%. Okay. Right. That's our figures there. So The next thing that you want to look out for, right, with our profitability ratios, is the last one here, is return on investment. Okay, so let's look at the figures, right? Return on investment multiplied by 100 divided by capital employed. Now, capital employed is made up of three things. It's made up of your long-term loans, your ordinary share capital, and your retained earnings, okay? Now, we'll do that, we'll break that question down in the next video in much more detail. But what you want to remember here is capital employed is just the amount of money that the business has invested in. So return on investment, you want to see like, right, was our net profit good considering the amount of money we actually put into the company, okay? So let's look at it. For 2005, the net profit again was 70,000. And they tell us there the capital employed was 650,000, okay? So a bit of a trickier one. If you guys, I'll just grab my calculator to show you through this one here. If you guys keep that into your calculator, so 70,000 multiplied by 100,000, divided by 650,000, you'll get 10 point, and if you round it off, it would be like 0.76. Okay, so round off to your assessment, you get 10.76%. And then the following year, or sorry, in 2004, we'll look at our net profit was 60,000. 2004, and the capital employed was 600,000. Much easier there. That gave us a net profit there of 10%. Okay, so there your answers there. That's all the calculations part. Okay, and we'll go through it now. We'll go through sort of the analysis of the go through the analysis of the figures now in a second. One little thing to spot, and these are all these little tricky things they do with accounting, right? Most of the time, in your leaving cert, when they're giving you the years, okay, they'll have 2004 first, then it'll be 2005. What they did this year was they put 2005 first and 2004. Now I'd be paying attention to that because a lot of students sometimes will get this wrong and they'll be like, oh, they'll be looking, I can't blame them because they're reading across. And they're like, oh, it was 24, then it went up to 25. No, pay attention to the years. And that's intentional. Like accounting's all about attention to detail. So like they want to basically make sure you're watching out for these little things. So like straight away we know in 2004 it was 25%, then it went to 24%. So what you've seen there is actually a drop there, so a drop in your profitability. So just look out for those little things. We'll go into that question in a bit more detail now. But I just want to kind of, if you follow me over on the board here, I'd always pay attention to that, guys. Because see what they did. All right, if you're following down, if you look at the question in the leaving cert, they said for 2004 and 2005. So here you see 2004 on the left hand side, but up here 2004 is on the right hand side, and that's going to cause confusion. So just make sure you spot these little things. That's what I mean about practicing past questions. Like no point in half knowing counting. You have to either go for the ratios all in and know them inside out, or nearly steer clear of the questions completely. But when students try and half know them, they run into a lot of trouble on that. Okay. So look, that's that done. We remember again, just put ourselves in the examiner scenario. What have I done to ensure I've gotten all the marks? I've put down the formula here. I've put down the calculations. And I've given the examiner the answer. Remember guys, put yourself in their scenario, formula, calculations, answer. That's what they're going to be looking out for, okay? And then of course then it's fired over there as well. Just in order to get, see the way there, just making sure we got the full marks in that, that's what you need to do for the full marks in that question. Okay, so we can, yeah, that's great. We'll look at the analysis now in a second. So again, welcome back to the analysis of the 2006 question on profitability. So, remember again the previous question, we just calculated the gross profit margin, net profit margin, return on investment. Now the question there, part two of the question said, analyse these profitability trends and discuss how shareholders might use them in making decisions. So really they're looking for two big things. They want to discuss the trends and then how relevant is that for the shareholders, right? So if we're looking at the first thing there, the trends, okay? Remember what they did, when you're looking at the question, said 2005 will be first and then it'll be 2004. But of course, when you're analysing trends, you're working from 2004 to 2005. So make sure you spotted that at the start. So like we'll put 2004 first, then afterwards we'll put 2005. So the first opening basic sentence here, gross profit margin was fallen by 1%. And then 2004 was 25%, 2005 was 24%. Okay, next thing then, your net profit margin fallen by 1%, 2004 15, following year 14%. And then return on investment has actually increased by 1%, 2004 was 10%, and the following year then went up to 10.76%. We can round it off as 11%. Right, so we put in the trends. Now, like discuss the trends and show and understanding why. So remember I keep saying we're going down through it, I'll just take us over to this over here again. Do you remember when we were looking at this? Again, it takes 10 seconds to throw this up in the leading search, and you can see this in profitability, but it's so valuable. So when we're discussing the gross profit margin trend, right, we can always put that down to two reasons. First reason is it could be because, so our gross profit margin has fallen. Why is that? Could be a few reasons. We may have dropped our selling price. Another thing could have been just more theft of stock. Okay, so maybe we imagine we were buying the stock, but we were selling shops, but people were taking the stock. That means they're paying for it, but we're not actually getting any revenue for it. So that could be one reason. That's two reasons why our sales could have fallen. First reason, we might have had to drop our selling price. Second reason would have been more theft of stock. Another reason why the gross profit margin would be dropping is we'll look up at our COGS, our supplier, costs of goods sold. Maybe our supplier just knocked up their price by a little bit, and that will drive down our gross profit margin. So it's very straightforward. I won't write it up on the board because you can go to that in your own time. The sample answer within the books as well. But just make sure you have the reasons for it. Okay. The next one, when we're analysing it, and again, sorry, one little thing you can say shareholders be concerned at this, as it means the business is making less profit off their stock sold. Okay. The next one then, guys, is the net profit margin. And we saw there earlier the net profit margin has also fallen by 1%. Okay, so remember in 2004 it was 15%, and then the following year, 2005, it was 14%. So net profit margin is down by 1%. Why? We can put that down to that expenses may have increased. Okay, so you can say like more expenses on anything like overtime, higher insurance costs, whatever it is. We can attribute that to rising expenses. Again, shareholders are going to be concerned. Because as for every year they're taking in less profit off their stock. The last one, which is the big one, is going to be the return on investment, right? And genuinely, if I own a business or if I own shares in this company, I'd be quite happy. Okay, so if you're analysing this, and really make sure you show a proper understanding to the examiner. The return on investment has increased. It went from 10% up to 10.76%, and that's a very, very healthy return on investment, right? So if you guys can follow me over here, this is the big one I want you to drive in, right? And it's a good, tough question. It's a really good question I asked because see here, this has gotten worse, but this has improved. All right. A lot of people are like, oh, 2 negative, 1 bad. Overall the company's in a really bad way because most of the trends are getting worse. Not necessarily. Like this, the big one. Like if someone talks to you about your company and you own shares in it, they're like, ask now, get on. You're really going to talk about the return on investment. Of course, these things are important too, but the big one they got right, return on investment. Now, the return on investment's gone up by 1%, and now, guys, it's 10.76%. Okay, and show good understanding of this. Like, this would be much higher than what the banks are currently offering. Okay, so like they've far exceeded that. So if I was boiling this down, I'd say two big things to shareholders, right? The ROI has gone up. Okay, what that means is you're getting a bigger cut on the money you've invested into the business. So what we could say there, and think about this, what's the word for if you buy shares in a business and they make more profit, and you buy shares, let's say, in a business and they give you a cut of the profits at the end of the year if you own those shares. Begins with D. Okay, it's dividend. Okay, so make sure again, with these shares, if the ROI goes up, right, for shareholders, they're going to get higher dividends. Alright? That's the first one. Okay, they'll get a bigger cut of the profits, and those profits will be paid out to them in terms of dividends. Okay, another big thing, right, guys, as a result of an increasing return on investment, like you're going to buy shares in a company for two reasons, right? Two main reasons driving you buying shares. First one is that you want to get a cut of the profits at the end of the year, which is the dividends, and the second big driver is you want the value of those shares to go up. Now, if the company's return on investment's going up, that's going to drive up their share price. Okay, so that's the second one then I use there is like return on investment. It could result in increased share price. All right. And that's the big one there for the analysis there, okay? So overall the company, their ROI has gone up, and that's what I attribute to that. And there's a sample answer much more detailed in the notes, but just make sure you get the key things right, okay? So when you're marking them in there, show a proper understanding, be able to analyse why. The big one with shareholders, making decisions, return on investment's improved. Okay, they will of course, and make sure you highlight the examiner will be concerned by the net profit margin dropping, and they'll hope that their business will rectify this and raise it back up in the future. Same thing with gross profit margin, they'll be concerned about that, and they maybe want them to install, like let's say tackle the gross profit margin, might say they want them to install tighter security systems in to prevent the theft of stock and stuff like that. But that's the importance of it for shareholders. Look back at the question, remember there's two things, the trend get better or worse, and also the shareholders part, okay? And look out for it again, they flip the years, and that's going to catch out a lot of students in the exam, okay? All right, great work, thanks.